You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Hey, my sassy friend. Welcome to another episode of Cash and Sass podcast. I am Lisa Marie, Sassy Wealth Queen, and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach and this podcast. Today, my guest is Benjamin Brown, and I'm so happy to have him on. He got his sales coaching when he worked with BNI, which is Business Network International. He realized that many small businesses don't use a sales process. In fact, many businesses don't think sales training is important until it starts to affect their revenue. That's so very true. He began sharing all his sales experience with business owners. As a result, he built the rapid success sales process. By implementing a proper sales process, an individual or a business owner can increase revenue and become more successful. Thank you so much for being on my show. I actually think my first question is going to be, how did you come about building the rapid success sales process? Because in my experience, a lot of times the reason why we don't like doing sales is we have some type of money block where we may not think we're worthy, or we don't think we're good at sales, or we're afraid to ask for the money, whatever type of money block that is. Can you give me just a little background on that?
Well, what I express is that sales is a skill. And so it's not something that you adapt to or something you evolve to. It's just like any other skill that's out there. You just don't have to be as detailed. So if you want to become a carpenter, plumber, you work as an apprentice and you work for many years under somebody showing you exactly how to do it. Sales normally doesn't work that way. They put you through one-dimensional training. And then you can realize if you're good at it over a period of time when people first get into it, like a company that they work for. But really, the main ingredient that I find in sales, the 80% of sales is confidence. Number one is having somebody to practice with. By practicing on clients, you get yourself into trouble, and you won't really understand the essence of what you're actually doing wrong. That's why people have a negative connotation on the feedback, because they're not doing it right. They're not getting the feedback to figure out what they're doing wrong so they can correct it. And as humans, you get frustrated with that very quickly, especially when it comes to your income and your paycheck, right?
Right.
So safety comes into, if I do this, I might go broke if I can't do it. And a lot of people, it's a lot of pressure. So sales is a lot about pressure, and some people just can't understand the pressure.
Yeah. What's one of the things that when it comes to money mindset? So how do you have a story of what kind of money mindset you had and what kind of shift you made to have a different money mindset than maybe you had before?
We talking about when it comes to sales?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a business. I was personal training for a minute, for a period of time. And I kind of fell into sales acting. You get the bug. So I was approached by one of the staff members, said, "Hey, I think you'll be a good salesperson." I was like, "I never done sales." I was just out of the military, about a year and a half at that time frame. And just explaining how it was. The key point is finding the right mentors if you're going to get into this, so you can understand how it works. It's the key, because anybody can do it, but not everybody wants to do it. And so by getting into that and just going through what they taught me, giving the confidence to fail, the revelation is back on the end of the paycheck that I got. I'm like, I made this just by doing this, rather than, the sessions that you would do at training be about 75 an hour. I was making triple, quadruple that in a less amount of time, just by being on the phone or actually talking to individuals, which I'm a people person, but you don't have to be a people person to be a good salesperson.
Right. What kind of how does money mindset affect sales? So I want to talk about how it does with entrepreneurs, because like, for example, I'm not a salesperson, quote unquote, per se,
Right.
except I am an entrepreneur and I do have consult calls, which in fact, what I'm doing is selling my services. So in a lot of ways, all of us entrepreneurs are sales, unless you have a sales team that does it for you, which I don't. And a lot of us single entrepreneurs, or not single entrepreneurs, but sole entrepreneurs don't. And what kind of mindset shift do we need to be able to take in order to, I know it's confidence, and we still need to have that mindset, the money mindset shift to confidently ask for that amount, or confidently, go and have the sales calls.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things when I started doing sales training about 5 years ago, I decided I was going to be a coach, but I didn't know what I wanted to teach. And so I investigated what I wanted to teach for about 6 months, and then just came to the revelation, why don't I teach what I already knew, which I've had
Mm-hmm.
over 20 years experience in sales. When I started that, I started a pilot program working with people, just individuals, just to see how it worked based upon what I knew, and testing models, right? Pilot programs. I found out even after getting what I knew was going to be prosperous for individuals by taking the training. Years later, I was realizing there was still a large percentage of people that I worked with wasn't getting. And I had to realize why they're not getting. I'm telling you what to do, when to do it to be prosperous, and you're still not doing it or understanding it. And what I realized is that I had to change to people's mindset first, get out the negative aspect of it, because that belief system, wherever it comes from, your past, your parents, your school, your brother, your sister, your ex-wife, husband, whatever people are telling you that you cannot do, has to change in the mind, because you have to realize you can do it. Because when you're in a sales process yourself, and you're talking to somebody in your process that you're selling them, the last thing you want to do is have any doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that doubt, you're not even focusing on the other person, you're just afraid of the rejection. And then it's a
Right.
small spiral downhill to the point like, why am I doing this? Maybe I should be doing something else. We always have those comfort zones. I don't feel comfortable doing what I'm doing, because being in sales is being, most of the time on the higher end, being uncomfortable, being at that position, where people are making a decision based upon your product. I like Mark Cuban says the first thing you should do if you're an entrepreneur is learn how to sell. And I always do that because you don't need marketing. You just go out and sell what you do, and then you can back it up with marketing and other things like that. So yes, every entrepreneur doesn't understand it's a process. So what are the tracks that you're doing? What is the program that you're doing? If you go learn karate or any self-defense, there's steps, there's belts, there's all these things that you do. When you get into sales, people just wing it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's horrible because you have nothing to gear by. Your process should be so good that in the middle of your sales presentation, you could step out, another person could step in. You can tell them which step you're on, and they can continue on that conversation very comfortably, which I've seen on the higher end. But that's a lot of work, right? But
Right.
that's what it really means. And sales is the quintessential part of any business, and most people would love to entrepreneur, don't understand. They'll market themselves, they'll pay ads, they're looking for low hanging fruit, anything that they can do without getting on the phone and dealing with that person on a one basis, right? Email campaigns, drip campaigns, click here and buy, all these different things that people think. But sales has never changed. It's still a people game. Even with AI, we are screaming right now as individuals that when we call somebody, the chances of getting a live person on the phone goes through your head the first time you hit the last digit. Am I going to talk to a machine or a real person, right? So,
Yeah, I'm not going to let a machine do my calls. That's just not
right,
happening.
right, right. It
um,
is a numbers game, and they use that to their advantage, but most of the time you don't need to do that. So getting
mm,
back, and
right.
this is why sales is so important now, because if you're able to understand these things and set your business up where you're getting back to the personal aspect, I think you're ahead of the game depending on what you're servicing, because people would appreciate.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to know that, um, yeah, you have to have the confidence when, because they're gonna feel that if you don't.
Mm-hmm,
And you've got to, you can be nervous per se, but you need to feel comfortable enough that when
mm-hmm,
they ask for the price, you can say the price and not blink, because your stomach may feel like it's going to drop. That's okay, but just don't
right,
show it. um,
right.
and- because if you have that mindset block, that money mindset block of I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve to have this, and who am I to ask for this amount of money? A lot of times when we have those blocks, or when entrepreneurs have those blocks, it stops them from doing the sales call. Like, they know their stuff, they can talk it. It's asking for, that piece. And what's one of the things that you do to work with your clients per se? Just one type of a shift you have them make in order to shift their mindset when they go to do the sales calls.
Okay. So the main thing is that you believe in the process, not the product.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves to get to the presentation, how I solve this problem for you, what we do, all this type of stuff that you're talking about, but you rely on the process. So that's why it takes a little while when I work with individuals, normally 30 to 45 days for them to understand it. You follow back on the process. Everybody's all about the product. Here's what I got for you. Here's what, it's pitching and wishing is what I call it, right? That's why they're afraid of the close, because they don't understand if the client really likes it, because they're not. The difference between a good and a great salesperson is the number of questions that you ask. And so in order to ask those questions, you must be confident. And so most people aren't. They're going over on the top level, asking a couple of quick questions, going directly into the presentation, and then hoping and wishing that the price will close them on the end. And I teach people it's not about the price at all. If you take a bottle of water that you have right now, you would normally pay what? $1, $2 for that, right? So if I just quote unquote, if you were on fire, how much would you pay for that bottle of water? It's the same bottle of water. It's just based upon how bad you make people realize what they want. People buy based upon what they want, not what they need. So if you make them realize they really want it, they will do anything and pay anything for it. And so most people put that value in their head of what they think their product is worth. And sometimes, as you know, an entrepreneur, you work with people and say, "Why is your price so low?" And you look at them like, "What are you talking about?" It's like,
Oh, I was
you
one
should be
of them. I
charging
was one.
more. And you're
I
like,
was.
what? I'm barely
I
getting
was.
anything. I'm barely
I
getting
was one of
anything
them.
now. What are you talking about? You should be charging double. Double? What? Are you, what? No, I don't, no, and one of my clients I work with now, I've been working with for years, beautiful story. I trained her on the system. She'd never been in sales, and she's, had her business for 20 years and implemented exactly what I did. And we tracked her success based upon what we implemented. And in 3 months, we made an extra almost $180,000 on a half a million business. She making about. And in the end, she came and she said, "That's great. I understand it. You taught me well. I don't want to do it." So I'm like, I still don't want to do it. And so I still work with her. I do her pre-sales for her company, which is only a couple of phone calls. And it's very laid back. It's basically publishing. You're talking to authors. And it's the thing is that she knows she still didn't want to go through the action, even though she was successful in doing it. And so the thing I teach people is that, first of all, you have to like or love the product. Right? That's the concept. You have to like or love them. If you don't like it, love it, leave it. That's what I do. Because people will smell it all over you. So if you're working for somebody pushing their product, you have to have some type of likability with that product. If it's your product, you really got to love it, right? So
Right.
that comes through in your demeanor, your voice, your tone, your reflection, everything. And so most people problems is they're selling something they don't like.
Or they're not comfortable, or it's they don't like the way it's been structured or put together, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not feeling confident enough
Mm-hmm.
with it. And a lot of times there's a mindset shift in there. I have found with my clients, when I work with them, one of the things we look at is our mindset, our money mindset. Okay, what do we need to shift so that you can see that you should be charging this because, one, you're good, and
Mm-hmm.
two, how do we make sure that you're showcasing that you're good, and that you feel confident in what you're offering. And
Right.
sometimes it's a mindset, and sometimes it's a money mindset, and sometimes it's both.
Hmm.
I just have found with women, especially, women entrepreneurs, especially, tend to not be so sure of themselves and the sales process for
Hmm.
whatever reason that is. And a lot of times there can be combinations, and it can be that money mindset shift or being the worthy of, asking for that and being confident of what they've built.
Hmm.
um, it's amazing how, like, if they're talking to a friend, they're great, they've got the confidence, but then when they go to talk to a stranger, they've got this unsureness of it. um, so you work with them to shift that mindset.
Do you know how I
Was
change that very quickly?
That's what I wanted to know.
The last part of the book that I've written is getting clients and more referrals. So in the sales process that I teach, it's not about the sale. You want the referral.
Hmm.
So if you're focused on the referral, you're not worried about the process, because the way I generated this, as an example, in many businesses, I've sold many things over my years. One example, I went and got, my deal is to get the referral. Who else do you know that I can help is my main sales process. It's not about the money, because if I ask enough, it's going to come. If I believe in what
Right.
I'm doing, my mindset has to be to get the referral, not the money, not the paycheck. People worried about their bills, of course. So if you get your mind off that and you're like, performance wise, if I can do my presentation will set me free. I'm not worried about anything else. I say the most um, talented salesperson in the United States is a homeless person. Do you know, on a regular street with a good mindset, what a homeless person can make in one day? Do you know?
Oh, probably a lot.
It's only between $400 to $700. Now,
Wow.
in the end, when you look at that, what is the homeless person selling?
Okay, I have no idea. So,
You give them money, right? Tangibly, what do you get in return?
well, when I do it, it makes me feel good. It
What
makes
do
me
you
feel
get in
good
your
that I'm giving
hand?
back.
What product do you get in return?
Nothing.
So you got a person out there that doesn't have a website, doesn't probably have an Instagram, Snapchat, doesn't have an email campaign, doesn't have a bank account, doesn't have an office, fax machine, computers, expensive cell phones, cameras, podcasts. They're rolling down. They can make $400 to $700 non-taxable per day if they want to. That's why they're not out there every day. They don't have any overhead. They're in sales. Why are they kicking people who have all of these tools? But because most entrepreneurs are not pulling down $700 a day, right? Why? Because that homeless person, the reason that they're good is because they're only focused on what they want. They either want food, clothing, alcohol, drugs. They don't care
Well,
what they look like, smell like. People tell them. They don't care about the no's. They don't care about rejection. They're not worried about their performance. They're not worried about how much coffee they got before 9 o'clock. They're not worried about what my emails look like, all these emails and my family and this. They don't care about the family. They don't care about. So their focus is the reason why they're generating. So most business people, one of the symptoms that they have when it comes to money mindset is that they're not focused on sales. They got so many other things: accounting, family, kids, church. Anybody on the regular, bills coming in. And the three things you have to do in a sales that's real important. The three things that you need to do at the same time simultaneously. You have to know where you're going. You have to be confident, and you have to listen. So you're not doing a one-on-one with the prospect. You're up here looking at yourself, grading yourself as you're doing the presentation, not worried about something or something what he says or whatever. You're listening to everything that's going on. That's why when I used to do sales, I used to turn the volume up where I could just hear, like, when they part their lips, like, this is giving me signals on where they're going, right?
mhm.
Listening intently, because most of the time in a discussion in the sales process, the prospect is giving you golden nuggets, and most of the time you're not listening to them. You're assuming, and you're so happy to get to the presentation to tell you how they're going to solve the problem, and you never dug in, never asked the important question. And when you get towards the close, you shiver up, you get cold, and you like doubt everything, and you pitching and wishing. And when it doesn't close, you can't reclose because you're not confident, right? So you just set another date to call them back and let them think about it, or set another date and you think it's important. And so the main thing, like I said, the homeless person is focused. They don't care about all these small things. And most entrepreneurs, when they go from Fortune 500, where they have everything supported for them, now they're on their own, trying to do everything on their own. And the last thing they're really focused on is the most important thing, which is sales. So the mindset is totally wrong with most people. And I'm like, so how much did you spend on marketing? Oh, 5, 10. We all have done it, right? Facebook ads. We all do this, trying to get that perfect low-hanging fruit that can come into our business, that can generate us revenue on a regular basis. And very simple, that could be done by just jumping on the phone. And most people don't want to do it because they're afraid. They don't know what to say. They don't know when to say it. They don't know what to close. And they're getting convoluted, and all of these, and every month something else comes out, shiny object, a new way to market, a new platform, a new way to do things. And so that's why most businesses don't make it past 5 years. It's a number of other reasons, but it's frustrating. That's why people say, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I go, really? Do you really want to be an entrepreneur? Do you know what that really means? Like, anybody ever told you what that really, really means? When you wake up on Friday and you have nothing in your bank account, you got nothing coming in, and you had to pay for this, and nobody, and then your employee doesn't call you back. Do you understand what it really means? I mean, you see all this beautiful way people got cars and they're on a laptop. I'm like, that's not the way it is. It's not, and it never ends. It's a continuous journey, and you might grow this business to a billion, a million. What's the next thing you're gonna do, Norman? You're going to start another business. It's in your blood. You just
Yeah, no. I see what you're saying, because, I tell people all the time, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is not for the faint of heart. You have to be laser focused, and you have to be able to ride the waves. And there are going to be times where those waves are going to throw you halfway. I mean, they're going to come up and pick you up and throw you like way to the other side, and you're just going to feel like saying, okay, I'm done. And you have to be able to continuously ride the waves. I've been riding them for 7 years, and I promise you got to keep riding them. And one of the things that I've noticed is, and what I think is really important, is we have to continuously work on our mindset. We have to continuously work on our money mindset, which also builds our confidence. And we have to work on that continuously, so that when life happens, or when the waves pick us up and throw us,
right,
we can get back up and keep going. Because again, it statistic wise, yes, most businesses don't make it past the first 5 years. They have a certain percentage that's the first 3, certain percentage is the first 5, and actually for women, it's even more so not making it past the first 3. So
right.
I tell all my listeners, you've made it past, you get it to the 3rd year, the 5th year, celebrate. You make it past the 7th year, you celebrate. Now every single, I did the big celebration on the 3 and the 5, and now I'm celebrating every single one. Because those are huge milestones, especially if you are making a profit and you are bringing in revenue, which is that's the key. And what I want my listeners to take away from this is, your mindset is going to affect your sales. It's going to affect how you're delivering your stuff. It's going to affect your demeanor, which, if you're doing a video call, people are going to be able to see. A lot of times we want to do a sales video call because we're going to be able to see their demeanor, and we can tell if they're really into it, or, we can see their demeanor on how they answer. Right. But a lot of times we also have to remember that they can see us and our demeanor, and they're going to be able to feel whether or not we have that confidence, and they're going to be able to feel that lack if we have it, especially if we're not, you're not good at showcasing it, regardless if you're nervous. And so I love the fact that we kind of dove into this. What is something that you would have an entrepreneur, just do suggest for them just to start getting because some entrepreneurs can't go out and hire a sales coach, okay,
Mhm.
for whatever reason. They could be just starting, they could be, because like me, I don't spend my money on ads. So that, there's entrepreneurs I know for a fact they've got, they're building, they're up leveling, they don't have the revenue just yet to invest in these, like a sales coach or a high.
Right.
What's something that you would, just a tip that you would give them to be able to work on that shift so that they can do their we call them consult calls. They're still sales calls, but
Mhm.
to be able to do them more confidently and deliver it better.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Record your calls and listen to
Okay.
them. Most people never listen. They've been in business for 5 years. They never listen to one call. You don't know what you sound like. You have no idea.
I don't like what I sound like.
Of course, you need to be, in order to get
I've
better at
never listened
sales,
to any
you
of my
have to
live
be your
videos.
worst critic. You have to be your worst critic, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Michael Jordan, all the great guys are always more critical of themselves than other people were. That's greatness. No, most people will
And
never
they
get to
watch
that
their
point.
videos.
You never get you never get to that point, right? But the most thing is that people do, but they don't take accountability for it, which we all do. We're all at fault of that, right? We don't want to seem lesser than. We don't want to do it to ourselves. We got enough people telling us that. But recording your calls, and you'd be like, man, I sound like you. And everybody I have do it because my students, they record the calls and we go through them. And it's the same thing. You have a man. I always use analogies. In playing football for 7 years, on Monday the coach is screaming at him, showing him film like, "You believe what you just did? Why did you? You know?" And the guy's been playing football since he's probably 8. We all make mistakes. So when you're all alone as an entrepreneur and you don't have nobody giving you feedback on this, even if you're being successful, there's normally a percentage when I come to businesses, the amount of money they're losing and don't even know it because there's nobody to give them feedback. You sound like crap. Like, why would you say that? I mean, you lost that sale. Not only you lost that sale, you lost another opportunity to ask for a referral because you did so bad, which that person might know 2 or 3 other people. I've had sales where I have physically pitched them in the end, didn't get the sale, got 2 referrals, sold the other 2 referrals, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell people is if you focus on the referral aspect of the process, the sale is just an afterthought. So the main thing is that your sales process is smooth enough where you can ask for the referral, right? You're not being aggressive. You're not being everybody talking about car sales and all this. You're going through the process. You're giving them a tour of your business. And you better do that right because when other people do it, you want them to be a reflection of your company. So when you grow, and Lisa, you understand this. What is the job of an entrepreneur? Is to slowly fire yourself from the jobs you don't want to do and things you don't have time for based upon the revenue that you generate. So as you
Hmm.
generate money and you start moving into these different levels from $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month to 11,000. I have one of my clients now, he's a millionaire and he's went from, 5 millions going to 10. He's having a huge problem because he grew too fast, right? And his mindset got all jacked up and all these problems came in because he was just taking money. He didn't have a target market. He didn't differentiate what's a good customer from a bad customer. A paying customer was a good customer to him. And I always teach bad money. You can't sell everybody. Even though they have money, they're going to cause you more problems. This is what I
It
tell
will come and
entrepreneurs.
bite you. It will come and bite you. It will come and bite you, bite you, bite you.
And
I
they will
know
give you
firsthand.
and they will give you a bad review too. They
Yeah.
will. And you're like, oh, I just went, they gave me the money. You didn't smell it. You were so money mindset. I need to get money that you understand there's good money and there's bad money. So that bad money will eat you alive in time, than anything else. I mean, I fire clients, like it's regular, and they get shocked. What do you mean? I'm like, I had a gentleman the other day call me up, and he, when we talk longevity, I've also, my proof of concept. I've owned a limo business for 14 years, still going today, very profitable. So, I had a client to call and, set up everything. And I'm like, we talked, I asked a couple of questions, and I was just like, I'm just going to at this time deny this and have you call someone else to help you, because I don't think I can. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, I can smell it. It was bad money. I'm like, no, not going to deal with this. It's going to take me more headache. I got burned on this before, that type of deal. And so, things you have to learn as an entrepreneur is key. But if
And
you have
well,
a sales process, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, and the key is to trust your gut or your heart,
Yeah.
whatever. Like if you know it's not a good fit, then
Mhm.
don't take it. Because if you're taking it, like you said, the good money, bad money is coming from a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're going after and they're paying me, they're willing to pay me, and you're taking
Yeah.
it, and you know down deep that you should not be taking this person as a client,
Right.
don't take them as a client, because again, you're coming from that lack, you're coming from a scarcity mindset. And I've learned that the hard way, and
Mhm.
I made sure now, like if I can tell in my gut, if I listen to my gut's never strayed me wrong, it's me listening to it.
Right.
When I know it's not a good fit, I tell them, no, thank you, that we're not a good fit. I just tell them, we're not a
Yep.
good fit. Let me refer you to a couple other people that may be a better fit for you. It doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
It just means you're not a good fit. And whatever inside you is saying it's not a good fit, trust it.
Yeah.
No matter how much we want to help so many people. I love the part of this that uh, talking about the sales from a scarcity. And I think that's the biggest thing I want you, my sassy listeners, to really take from it, is that doing sales from a scarcity mindset can lead to a lot of issues, and doing it, so many issues. And that could be a whole nother podcast. And it can also lead to money problems, by the
Mhm.
way,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother thing. And doing it from a mindset of being worthy and not from that lack of mindset, and doing it for referrals, and if someone says no, asking for referrals, because, my business has thrived on referrals, and I love them. I love getting referrals.
Yeah.
You still do the sales call, and they were referred. So if they were referred, that's
They go
still
through the
and
same process.
that's it. Right. Right. And so I think it's really, really important that we realize how much our mindset, our money mindsets, if we have a lack or scarcity or just the mindset in general, really, really affects that sales process and getting clients. And if it affects us getting clients, that then turn around and affects our money, period, which is like a vicious cycle, because then it affects your money mindset even more, because then you don't think you can do the entrepreneurship, and we can go down a little spiral cycle.
Mhm.
um so I really want I'm hoping that what you're taking from this is that there's an easier way to do it than winging it. And working on that mindset is really big key. Can you tell our listeners where they can get more information? I know you said the offer you were going to offer was them to have a call with you, and I think you've already sent me the link, so the link will be in the show notes. But can you just tell
Mhm.
them what that looks like?
Well, I made it easy for people to reach out in this days with everything. And so, meet with benjamin.com, and I have the URL, and you can go in there and schedule a call. The website is 360salesconsulting.com, and the book is Master the Art of Closing the Sale by Benjamin Brown. It's on Amazon. So I've generated that. And just to cover what you did, the mindset that you talk about in sales is step number one in my process. It's called being prepared. And that's a whole mindset training. That's where the 30 days come in, to change people's mindset on what they think a sale actually is. And by doing that, my concept that I say sales is not, it's simple, but it's not easy. So people overthink it, but it's not easy, which means you have to put the work in.
Very much so. Very much
Mhm.
so. And as we all know, entrepreneurship is also not easy. It's worth it.
Yeah.
However, it's not what we see on social media. There are things that we have to work on. We have to work on our mindset. And then the other thing that I want my listeners to take before we stop is remember it's okay to ask for help. So having someone help you with your sales process, having someone help you shift your money mindset and help you shift your mindset, help you grow your business, asking for help is there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the reason why I love having different coaches and having the sales coach on, because one, it affects our money, it affects our money mindset, it affects all the ins and outs of us having a business. And I want you to really remember that it's okay to ask for help so that you can shift those things and start making money and then be able to have what I call sassy and sexy money. So thank you, Benjamin, for being on my show. I truly appreciate it. My sassy friend, until next time, remember to stay sassy. Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.transcendentwealthco.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.transcendentwealthco.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.